Okay, welcome to tonight's session. I'm going to take you through a protocol today called Big Whale. Um, I think I'm going to call it Big Ponzi, to be honest. But let's get into it. Let's just see what the data says, and I don't want to be too judgmental. Although I have done a lot of on-chain sleuthing today on this particular protocol, and it leaves me not too impressed. But
Oh boy.
as you know these things can be very profitable so long as you know you're going to take money from somebody else, because all it does is move money about, right? So yeah, we're going to get into the protocol. I think there's a lot of false pretenses with this project, so I'm a little bit riled up by it, to be honest. So before we get into that,
the way you put out your statements,
yeah,
like dang.
well,
I'm not used to you like doing that kind of dare I say well poisoning, sir.
the thing is, I see far too many people fall victim to things like Ponzi schemes and not understanding or knowing what they're getting into. And then when there's a wolf trying to dress itself up in sheep's clothing and say it's revolutionary banking protocol, it's a load of BS, to be honest. And that's what I'm against. Like they're trying to hide what they actually are purposefully, and I'll show you some videos to back that up as well.
That liberates your money from traditional banks and governments,
That's a big claim right off the bat there, folks.
allowing it to truly grow. Our platform aims to disrupt outdated financial institutions that still don't understand the massive potential of the crypto industry. Unlike traditional banks that refuse to lend to borrowers in the crypto industry, we provide a fully transparent, verified smart contract.
First thing I noticed, Binance logo on all that, baby. Interesting.
On the Binance Smart Chain that connects high-interest borrowers with stakers like you. By staking your assets in our protocol, you can earn up to 2% daily returns.
Oh my goodness. Okay, folks, there are 365 days in a year. What's the APR? Do the math in your head, baby. That
Minus
is
500,000%.
Yeah, exactly.
Our borrowers are carefully vetted and pay interest rates between 3 to 5% daily on their loans granted by the Big Whale protocol.
Okay, that's most curious, and indeed, take a look at the variation in borrower interest rates on those little heads there. We got a 4.5er, we got a 4.99er, we got a 3.29er, 3.18. What's the explanation for the variation?
This is how we can pay stakers like you up to 2% daily returns on your investment, ensuring the protocol's rapid growth. The Big Whale protocol is fully transparent, and our open source smart contract can be viewed by anyone on the Binance Smart Chain. There are no hidden fees, and withdrawals are made automatically to your wallet within seconds by our smart contract at the click of a button. Join the Big Whale protocol today and be a part of the future of decentralized finance. With the power of the blockchain, you can unleash the full potential of your money and watch it truly grow.
The voiceover artist actually delivered this quite well, but I have so many problems with this.
This is part of the problem, I think, for me, and why I'm wound up by this particular protocol, is because there's a lot of big claims in there. There's a lot of BS in there, and there is some truth as well. So, the contracts are on Binance, they are verified, you can read them. But this type of video, I feel, tries to entice people in without the understanding of what it actually is and what it's doing, like in the contract. Right. Not all it takes is a quick look to understand. For people who are technically minded, right? The everyday sort of newbie that comes across this, I think, oh, actually, this looks pretty good. Look how well that video's done.
Amazing.
And then you go onto the Telegram, and there's doxed people as well, right? Who are showing the face and explaining. A lovely lady. Well, she looks lovely, but if she's in on this, then she's not lovely. Probably the opposite, to be honest.
This thing, even the first claim that they make, like just base layer claim, is yes, the banks are terrible and we want to disrupt them. Okay, all right. As a crypto guy, I can get behind you. But the problem I have already is that you're going to act like what you've got is something fully transparent, verified, revolutionary. No one's ever seen it before. Venus exists, my friends. Venus exists, and right now they're paying 5% APY on Binance US dollar. And this is an actual lending protocol, a actually transparent lending protocol. It exists. This whole thing is built on Binance. So why do I need you? Why do I need to trust this promise? This absolutely unverifiable promise of the borrower. Oh yeah, and the view count's interesting, less than 10K, worth noting.
Hey guys, I'm Mary from Media Relations here at Big Wheel with some great news again. So our Certic audit is finally done and we have a security score of 59% and a governance score of 90%. Certic has reported no critical findings in the audit. And we're also happy to announce that starting Monday, we're expanding our coding team by outsourcing it to a larger Web3 development company with over 40 coders to rapidly fix the remaining bugs and also develop new features for Big Wheel. And finally, our loan performance is excellent. BNB is at one of its all-time highs, and our financials and other transparency information will be shared with you all very soon, starting next week or so. So thank you for being with us, and I wish you all a good weekend ahead.
She's kind of like the marketing lady called Mary. I believe we've got this down in the documentation. First of all, let's just have a look at the contract and see what we see, right? So
you got it.
We've got BSC up right now, and we've also got Metadoc installed, which gives us a little bit more information. Okay, we could easily go in and see where the funds have come from and where they've gone. But the first thing I notice is the contract creator. Okay, the contract creator was funded from Change Now. What do we know about Change Now? We know that from Change Now, there is no KYC requirements. Okay, so essentially anonymous, completely anonymous dev. There you go. So they've come in through Change Now. They've created the contract. Yeah, and there's not too much history on this wallet, to be honest. And would you expect it? Probably not. But let's just take a look at the actual contract itself. So it is verified. Okay, we can read the code, 475 lines long. That's an indicator already that there's not actually too much to this contract. I've seen them 1,500 to 1,000 lines long. I've seen like 30 different contracts mapped out just here. Like this one is one Solidity contract, right? Sometimes you can have like Dean down below because they're all working together. In this one, it's not the case. What I like to do is just click on read contract and expand all. The first thing I'm looking for is who's the owner, and the owner is the dev right now. Now, if this is renounced, that's one thing because it means that nobody can go in and change, the content of the parameters of the contract, but that's not the case here because the owner can. There's also, it's not visible here right now, but we do know, because we've had a look, that same wallet is also taking a cut of each of the withdrawals as well. Let's just take a look at some of the functions here. Deinitialize, deposit, initialize, leave Big Whale, reinvest, renounce ownership, set initial amount, set initial percentage, set referral percentage, start, transfer ownership, withdraw capital, and Z approve loan grant. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. They're also the owner of the contract, right? And the whole purpose of this, that's just straight in. Okay, so it's just on the withdrawals. The purpose of just bringing this up is to highlight, I think, one of the biggest risks in this protocol right now. Besides the fact that it's a house of cards, in my opinion, and I'm hoping that this talk as we go through it will explain why, and I think we'll have enough evidence here to say that it is a Ponzi. Not only is the developer coming through Change Now, which is no KYC, which means that it's going to be really hard to track them if they do rug, right? They've got full ownership of the contract, which, it all depends, right, on what the intentions are of the people behind the contracts. Like, do I care that Danny and his team over at MDB have got full control of the contract? Not really. I don't really care, because they're a a business at the end of the day, or if they're not right now, they're certainly going to be. They're certainly doxed, so you can point the police in the right direction if something nefarious was to happen, but it's not the case here. I'm just highlighting there's a huge centralization risk here. The other thing that I noted was I actually wanted to go through and see how many transactions, how many different types of transactions there were. This is just a CSV file, right? So an Excel. And the reason why I do this is just because it helps with just understanding what's happening. So this is the extract of all of the transactions that's happened with this contract, right? And this 3005, that's the contract. So if I go to method over here and I filter by deposit, then that's going to be all the money that's come into the protocol, right? So if I just go like this, I can see down here 1071 BNB has entered this protocol. It's a minimum of 0.1. That's what all of these are down here. Okay, but there's people that's put in a hell of a lot more. So then I got looking at this and I thought, right, borrowing and lending, because that is what this protocol is basing itself on. What have we got here that's borrowing and investing? I'm not going to count reinvest. Sorry, borrowing and lending. I'm not going to count reinvest because that's just churning over, right? You can compound essentially. That's not really borrowing or lending, right? Approve loan grant. So I thought, okay, well, let's follow some of these through. So we can see what happens here. Now, if I just take one of these transactions here, this is the transaction, right, for the loan grant. Where does the money go? It goes from Big Whale to the developer. So I'm like, okay. So if there's an approval for somebody to have a loan, the money goes from the contract to the developer. Right. Okay, so let's go and find that one. What happens then? Well, in this one, let's just go back to this one, just get the value, sorry. So the 29.29 BNB, that's what we're looking at here. Let's just follow this. It goes out to this address here, right? 9C0CCC. Let's find out what happens with this. 29. So it must be this one. Okay. So what happens with that then? Well, let's go to DBank. Okay, so it swapped it for USDT. Fine. I'm okay with that. Whoever this is, they swapped the BNB for USDT. Then they sent it to this address. Okay, let's follow that through. So it was about 9,000 USDT. Now, bearing in mind, these guys, if they've got an approval, a loan grant, they're paying, the people who are taking the loans are paying 3 to 5% per day. Right? 3 to 5% per day on their loan. So this is like loan shark territory. Okay, so here it is. It's received in. Okay, what do they do then? Well, sent 5 USDT here. Sent another 5, another bunch here. Sent a bunch here. Sent a bunch there. Right, it's going to this 353 wallet. Well, let's go there. Let's see what happens with it. I'm just following this through because I think it's really important to see what's going on here. Receive, deposit to Coinbase, right? And do this on any of those transactions. Deposit to Coinbase. If these people are getting charged 3 to 5% per day charge for taking out a loan, why on earth would they be depositing to Coinbase? Well, you're lucky if you get that per year, right? It makes 0 sense. So let's just summarize what's happened here. There's been an approval for a loan grant. It's gone out of the contract to the developer. From the developer, it goes out to a random wallet. It could be the developer, but we don't know. And then it goes out to Coinbase. What we are not seeing here is if there is proper borrowing practices happening within the smart contract, well, you know, there should be collateral that's put down. When you're borrowing, like, would you expect to be paid by the developer? Well, no, I'd expect to get it straight out the contract, because I'd expect that if I put collateral aside to take that money, that if I don't pay it back, they're just going to take the collateral. But there's nothing like this here. So that raises a serious question to me about, well, if there is borrowing and lending, at least on chain, how are you going to guarantee that that thing's paid back? Because there's nothing like that. There's no mechanics here. All right, well, that's one thing. And then I just mapped it out a little bit more on Metasleuth as well. So let me just show you this real quick, and then we'll get back into the analysis. But this, I can't tell you how important this is. So change now comes into the developer wallet, which is orange. Goes into the big whale contract, which is yellow. Interestingly, I found a YouTuber with 12,000 subscribers who's in this particular project. Also is in a cat scam as well. If you remember, I reported on that one. So this guy's lucky not to have his wallet drained yet. And I've actually actively warned him. You know, he needs to disconnect from this wallet. 85 BNB. This was one of those loan approvals as well. So remember, it's come out of the contract into the developer wallet and it's come down here. 85 BNB. Well, where does that go? It's just here, look at the bottom. Let's follow it through. And it comes over here into this second wallet. Okay. That then goes back over to this wallet, C5901, which is connected to the developer wallet. It feeds some I don't know, a little bit of gas or whatever into developer wallet. So that it's just like one big circle to me, that. So obviously I'm like now thinking, well, there's no control of the money that's leaving the protocol when a loan grant is approved according to the contract. And then the money that I've seen, just a couple of examples, either leaves to go out to a Coinbase or whatever, or circulates back to some form of connection to the dev in some way. And then if I analyze the big whale contract itself, just expand this out a little, what you're going to see is a load of people pay in and a load of people get paid out. Now, I did the maths a little bit earlier on. How much was deposited, which was at 1071 BNB? How much was withdrawn by these guys on the right, which was 345, and what's left? And it was the exact amount of the contract balance on BSC, which says to me that they've got no revenue coming in. As far as I can see, this is just you're depositing one side, you're moving the money about and paying out somebody else on the other side. There's no functionality in this contract for borrowing and lending. I've even asked ChatGPT, you know, but you can see it anyway, right? You just scroll through the functions in here. There isn't any. You can pause it. That's another one, look, a centralized issue. You can pause it at any time. There's nothing here. Transfer ownership, withdraw, leave. To call yourselves a revolutionary banking protocol, it's going to save the world, is a load of BS, to be honest.
I can talk for a second about Nexo. Nexo is probably one of the biggest centralized, quote unquote, lending and credit platforms, end quote, that exists in our space. They've been around for years. I found out about them before I ever got into crypto because I was reading stories about how Bitcoiners were getting housing loans from Nexo in like 2019, 2018. So they've been doing this for a long time. They're probably one of the better ones in the space. All of that said, there's allegedly a lot of black baggage, a lot of black hattery, and some sussy, shady bullshit going on behind the scenes, even at that massive thing. So if all of that is going on at one of the biggest players in the space, I can only imagine what's going on with this inside of their quote unquote executive boardroom.
You can see the problem I have with it. It's the fact that they're calling it something that it's not. But anyway, let's get back into it. All right. So enough about the contract. We've seen the video. The daily ROI from between 0.8 to 2%, whatever. There's two people on the team that we can see. There's Mary and Jerome, although I've not seen Jerome. We don't know their wallet history. We don't know any of their team wallets or anything like that. All we know is the developer wallet. Now, if you ask me, I think this contract is similar to those BNB miners or baked bean miners. I don't know if you remember them. So how they tend to work is the biggest whale who gets in earliest is going to take all the money. That's generally how they work. And we do know that there was, based on this CSV file that I pulled, we do know that there were some big hitters early on. So let's just go back here and look at the deposits. Yeah, so you got one at 110 BNB. You got one at 70, almost 71 BNB. which is like, that's 35 grand in dollars. And then this one's 22 and a half. This one's 20. This one's 14 down here. So these are going to be the ones that are taking the BNB from the rest. These guys down here, these 0.1s, these got no hope in hell chance. I mean, it's 0.1, but it's still money, right? These are likely not to ROI unless new investors come in. Okay, because it's 2% per day. These guys, the 2% up here is far bigger than the 2% down here. So these are going to take it all. So I suspect that these top wallets are the team, as one way or another. But anyway, I have nothing to confirm that. I just thought it was, something that we should sort of call out in terms of this could be a real risk here. As you've seen, the lady, Mary, she shows her face. I'm not sure about Jerome. I've not seen his face. There's no GitHub that we can find. Now, they're playing a big card in the fact that it's audited by Certic, which is true. Right, it's audited by Certic. There's the contract. It's the same contract address. It's got to score. I mean, yeah, you're paying Certic. It costs at least 30 grand, I think, to get audited by them. But they'll just audit the code. Right, they're not necessarily looking as to whether this is some big fucking Ponzi or whatever, right? And in fact, these have actually wrote down that it's acting similarly to a DeFi bank by connecting high interest borrowers and stakers. So, I mean, Certic, they're just checking the functions, they're just checking the lines of code behind this and how it's working and are they going to get exploited. Now, they've found some big issues. One major, centralization. We've called that out already. They've found one medium, 3 miners, and 5 informational. These are like, you're not really too bothered about these. But everything else is just acknowledged. Yeah, we know about the centralization. Yeah, okay, we've got logical issue. Fine. Oh, we've got volatile code. Okay, we've acknowledged it. So the thing is as well, because it's not a proxy contract, you can't really go and easily fix this without changing the contract address and all that sort of stuff as well. So logistically, it'd be a nightmare to go and update the contract. Now, in the Telegram post, Mary says that they're going to have a team of 40 developers from a third party who's going to come in and update the contract. I'm not sure whether we'll see that or not, to be honest. So just because you got Certic audit, I mean, it's good because you'll know roughly where the security of the code stands. Knowing the security of the code and knowing the intentions of the people behind the code are two very different things. So just going through the ecosystem, I'm not even going to talk through some of these. The guys, Tibor and Mowgli, has done top part and the scores, and Mowgli's done the look to the code, look to the GitHub, although there wasn't one, etc. But I don't really even want to talk through like what the rewards are, because it's just it's nonsensical, to be honest. If you put in 80 BNB, you're going to get 2% per day. Well, yeah, that's because they want you to put a shit ton of money in it. Yeah, so I really don't want to give Ponzi airtime on what its rewards are, because it's just going to come crashing down one day. In terms of the website, registrar's headquartered in Lithuania. I don't think it matters too much right now. Most of it's redacted. We're not going to find too much info there. Hostinger's pretty good. Hold on, actually. They might be one that tends to ignore you. I'd need to go and double check my DMs on Twitter actually for that. But everything from a virus total standpoint, wallet guard, all of that came back as being fine. There's no immediate multi-sig attached to the team or contracts, but I did find one that had $2 million in it. But I couldn't quite put my finger on it whether it's directly connected with this one or another project. But there is a Gnosis out there that's got $2 million in it, closely associated to this contract. But again, could be somebody else's. The website states that Big Whale Fintech AG is privately owned, okay, and it is audited by Certic, and they're based in Switzerland. But there is no record of this company on the Swiss Central Business Name Index. So the team has been questioned about this, and they claim that Big Whale Fintech AG is a part of the parent company, which is directly incorporated under the founders' names. according to the smart contracts as I see them today, you're running a Ponzi. So you can have any excuse as to why there's no business registration. But if you're going to be a bank, a revolutionary bank at that bank, at least in my head, 99.9% of the time, is itself going to be an entity, a legal entity, because you're going to have funds coming in, funds coming out, all your financials, all needs to be going through the bank, not the founder's name, and that's not what we're seeing. So there's a number of different red flags, and let's get on to the score report. I'm just going to summarize different areas. We'll let the scores do the talking. Mowgli's done a great job here. I've read through it all. I agree with everything that's on here. So in terms of the contract, it's verified. It's not a proxy. There's no risk of underflow, overflow attacks. That's why they've got scores there. It's not forked that we can see, but I would have a feeling that, all these baked bean minor contracts, I actually think it's quite similar to that. But they was always unverified. So from memory anyway, I'd need to go back and double check. So it wouldn't surprise me if it is a verified version of one of them. That could be a real possibility. But anyway, we'll give them benefit of the doubt. So there's no token. So some of these functions don't really... some of these questions don't really apply, but they can halt the trade in. That's where the lost points. It's not renounced. We've covered that already. The developer has full control of what's happening here. They can withdraw everything tomorrow if they want. I'm going to disagree slightly here on this one, Mowgli. How many different types of taxes are investors subjected to? Now, it's not explicit in the contract. Normally, to find there you go. That's where it is. Normally you're looking for buy and sell fees and stuff like that. Now, this looks like it's called a transfer fee. Payable, let's just send the transfer amount minus fee. Yeah, so let's just see if there's any others. So I actually think there is a tax. It's just not obvious. I'm sure they've marketed it as zero tax, right? Is that right, Mowgli? I have a feeling that they did. I'm going to go into the Telegram as well and just double check.
But Mowgli, doesn't the audit say that my funds are safeu? Obviously, if the audit says funds are safeu, everything is fine.
I'm not sure the audit does say that, to be honest.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
What's Mowgli say?
Mowgli says the team uses that CerTic audit as an answer to any risk security question, as if the code audit would help track them down, as if anything happens. Yeah, zero tax, definitely one of their selling points. Zero tax and a withdrawal with a click, thanks to the CerTic contract.
No, it's definitely got a fee in there. And we can see that, again, I'm just going to show this one more time. Go to any withdrawal. There you go. 0.18. So what's that? I don't know what percentage fee that is, but it's definitely something. Head into this guy's wallet here. So anyway, so they have got a tax, but it's hidden, and so I'm gonna pull that down. It's going to be called 1, so that's going to be a 2. So we're going to need to minus 1 from the score at the end. We can't prove that it's a registered business, so I agree that with the score there, it's not really. In my opinion, it's not really a if you're going to be a bank, right, this revolutionary bank, you don't want to be using exchanges like Change Now, right? For me, it's the same as using Tornado Cash. There's no easy way to verify someone's identity. I mean, it's possible, but you know what I mean? I'm talking about like the intentions of the team. If it was really going to be what they wanted it to be, then surely they would have come through the likes of Binance or Coinbase or whatever, right? Well, more than likely Binance, to be fair. No GitHub, so we can't see any form of development. That kind of also lends into my argument to say that this may be a fork of some of those B&B baked beans contracts, because it could just be a fork, right? We actually don't know of the team wallets, so I think if we was to ever get any of them, this would potentially lose some points. There's no multi-sig right now. It's all in the contract, but the contract is fully owned by the developer. So although strictly looking at the question here, I probably disagree with the points. Because of that risk, I'm going to leave it at that. So I'm okay with that, because our job is to call out the risks that we see. There's no public-facing devs, anything like that. No other social media. We can't prove if they've ran other projects. You know, earlier when I was looking at this Meta Sleuth, I found a connection. Because what I do, like, I didn't know whose this wallet was before, right? But if you just copy that, go onto Twitter, Just search for it. Team address. Look, so this is a YouTuber, and this is him getting referrals from Bloomify, which rugged the Bandit project. We know he's been in Cat as well, because that Cat contract is... Where's the Cat contract? Oh yeah, it was the old Cat contract, and this is the new one. So he's definitely been paid or withdrawn at least 49 BNB from there. So he definitely had funds there. I've also linked him to it was actually a wallet drainer as well. And it was a victim in our Discord who came to us. And I just opened up this wallet because remember, I didn't know whose it was at the time. And I seen this wallet here. And for some reason, I recognized the first few numbers. And again, I searched on Twitter for it. Oh, look who that is. Yeah, that's me. Wallet drainer. Yeah, one of our friends in Discord got drained by this wallet. So I've actually alerted this YouTuber and said, you need to disconnect.
Good.
You're gonna get drained. And I've also said, if you want to get rugged, follow this guy.
I'm very glad you warned him. You did your part, brother. I mean, what he does from here, it's not on you.
Yeah, it's got an audit. I'm not happy with the audit. I'm happy with the audit. I think it reflects what's there, and I think the score is probably accurate from a coding perspective. Although I'm not a developer, so I can't. I'm not professional enough or competent enough to make that sort of statement, but it feels like that's the case. What I'm not happy with is the way that the team are banding around the fact that they've got this Certic audit like it's the solution to everything, because I think there's some major issues that are not resolved. Have the team responded with valid security reasons as to why some of the outstanding issues that are not high or critical? The team has acknowledged the issues, but they decided not to do anything. I think that comes back down to this issue that was talking about earlier, that they'd have to completely change the contract, and therefore the contract addresses and everything. I actually don't think there's going to be any changes at all. I don't think they're going to be around long enough, to be honest. Yeah, so what else we got? Marketing's in-house. Yeah, you can see Mary, she's there. She's doing all this sort of PR things. I don't know whether she's a victim in this as well, or she's in on it. I don't know. I'm saying a victim. Nothing nefarious has happened yet besides money's just moving around, but it will. Tokenomics, I'm not even going to go there. You know what this type of project this is. The website, to be honest, everything that's on the website, the videos and stuff, are actually relatively professional in terms of how they look, besides the Comic Sans thing. But yeah, the content of it, the underlying messages and things like that are completely wrong. We was right. Yeah, hosting
I can rip their presentation apart all day. Like the quality of the presentation notwithstanding, the meat of it is questionable.
Yes, yeah. I think that reflects what I was trying to get to earlier. I think there's some issues here with the hosting. They've been really reluctant to pull stuff down, and I think that's reflective in the score here, which is fine. I'm going to skip a few of these. But yeah, you've got a score of 43.52%. Where does that put it? Well, if we go to the website, go to the hub, it's right here. Okay, I've labelled it as a Ponzi. I've not seen any other evidence to suggest that it's not a Ponzi, to be honest. It's just above Horde, which died.
Yeah, I forgot about Horde. It's worth noting here, does this pass the walled garden thought experiment? No. Not even close. Not even close does it pass the walled garden experiment. If you lock this thing up, let no one new in, they would run out of money so fast it's hilarious.
And just to finalize all of this, right? Even the projects at the top, the normal risks, it's the little asterisk there. Well, that little asterisk means that you can still lose all your capital because this is crypto, this is Web3. When you start getting down into these areas here, it's heightened risk, which is exactly that. There's more risk involved, right? So not only could you lose your capital, there's more chance of it happening. Down here, I think there's much more chance of it happening. Now, there's some, like this team here, this is the Alpha Shares team. The team seem to be doing all, or trying to build something, right? I think the team's okay, but the contracts and everything around them still pose risk to investors, in my opinion. So like anything could happen to them contracts because they're not verified and all sorts of stuff. We know what's happened with this. We know how dodgy this one looked. right? We couldn't score Kai, so this could be up here. We don't know yet. It was too early to say, but yeah, I think these ones certainly you need to be extremely cautious of before getting into it.